Welcome back to the grind. Today we're going to talk about the Week 5 preview, which entails the Kullecid Legendary Wind Hunter and the release of the defensive rider this season. We will briefly talk about the rider at the end of the video, but I don't have many details on it, so there's not a whole lot of information to share. So, Kullecid, the Legendary Wind Hunter, looks pretty cool. I like the design of this hunter, and they were going for a creepy vampire-like dragon, and they said the spells will reflect that in the animation of the spells, which I'm also very excited about. A very blood and siphoning kind of theme to this dragon. So, Kullecid's spells: Siphon Strike heavily damages target towers and restores a large amount of HP. Now, they said on stream that this spell will be able to damage 2 up to 3 towers if put in the right location, and will cost 2 rage and have a relatively shorter cooldown compared to other spells that are similar to this that have 1 rage. Blood Mist will be similar to other spells currently in the game, but they said it will have a very unique animation to this, which I'm excited for. Now, this spell will allow the dragon to cloak briefly, recover ammo, and increase breath damage after uncloaking. I don't know how long this will be, but I imagine 1 to 2 seconds for the cloak, and then maybe 2 to 3 seconds for the increased breath damage. After the increased breath damage, you will be able to use this cloak again. There will be no cooldown aside from the increased breath damage duration, which is pretty interesting, and we'll talk a bit about how we can use that later. Bloodlust we've seen before, like on Scorpa and Hyaku, where when activated you gain rage, and then for a period of about 4 seconds you will gain health upon destroying towers, but during that time your rage regeneration is essentially 0. And then you will have an adaptive flak resist where you can cycle through different resists and gain a small amount of rage for each one, which we've seen on several dragons before. So now I'm going to describe my initial thoughts on how I think this dragon can be flown, but this may change once we get the full details of the spell next week. So the basic spell rotation that initially stands out is having Siphon Strike loaded prior to facing the island, so you can start with Siphon Strike in the mouth and full rage going into the island. I would then cast Siphon Strike at the Blue Mage while still turning on the corner, and then unload some ammo if possible before towers fire. Right before taking damage, I would use Blood Mist to cloak and dodge the damage or super shots, and then when uncloaking, he will be exposed to damage, so I would use Bloodlust while uncloaking so that with the increased breath damage, I can destroy towers quick enough, hopefully, and gain health back that I will have lost from the towers attacking. And then depending on the cooldown of Siphon Strike, hopefully another one will be up not too long after uncloaking to take out another key tower and as well as gain some health back. Now with the initial Siphon Strike, you kind of have to attack the Blue Mage, so it depends on the location. If it's in the front, you can take out 2 towers probably very easily, and potentially 3 depending on the towers present. If it's in the back, you probably can only hit the 1 tower, unfortunately. But on the second time around, when you have Siphon Strike off cooldown, you can hopefully combo 2 towers with that one. Now a more complicated thought for how to fly Kullecid would be to plus or minus having the Siphon Strike active in the mouth. That would be ideal if possible, but I would try to time Blood Mist so that the increased breath damage was active while on the turn at the point where you can still damage towers, but then ending and ready to be activated again for the cloak as you face the island so you can dodge damage. This would allow increased breath damage while coming around the corner to hopefully destroy 1 or 2 towers with ammo on the corner. Now if you have Siphon Strike active in the mouth and you plan to use ammo while on the turn, that would be a little bit more complicated, but not impossible, as long as the spells are able to be used in that method. If you're not able to use Blood Mist while Siphon Strike is already loaded, then I'm going to have to play around with whether or not it's better or more effective to have the extra Siphon Strike loaded and saving that rage, or if using Blood Mist on the turn may be equally or more effective. So here's the portrait for Kullecid. I think this is one of the cooler portraits that have been released recently. I know a lot of people put a lot of emphasis on having a cool portrait with the lines that they take, and I think that this one's one of the cooler ones. I think most people would agree. Okay, really quickly, this is Vivian, the defensive rider for this season that will be released in week 5 of the Withermoon season. You will be able to claim Earth, Dark, and Wind shards through this line, and the stats will be increased tower HP, increased tower attack, lumber mill production, and sheep production, and lumber storage. And we won't know how good this defensive rider will be until we get the details fully released next week. So look forward for that video. All right, so I hope this was helpful and interesting, and keep an eye out for the next video with all the spell details and the rider details.